technical. Right. Oh, I have about 50,000 screens open. Standard. Sure. Right. Big. Right, so what we're going to cover off this evening, it just seems very apt at the moment that I swear everyone has been on holiday or everyone has got really poorly. And I think it's quite vicious, this one doing the rounds. So I just kind of wanted to go over how it's not the end of the world to take a week off or have to take a week off if you're poorly, or even a little bit longer than that if you're on holiday a bit longer or sick for a bit longer. So, we'll start with the sickness one because that's obviously the more grim out of the two. But the first thing you need to do is listen to your body. Now, everybody is responding to these germs doing the rounds at the moment completely differently. And like the way it might affect one person is completely different to another. And definitely don't compare yourselves either. So just because somebody else has taken a couple of days out and got back to it, if you need longer, you must take longer. Do you know what I mean? This is just kind of it's a very specific thing on how you're responding to the illness in question. But it is okay to take a few days off. Nobody's going to die from that. Nobody, do you know what I mean? You're not going to undo all of your hard work, but when you are coming back from sickness or a bit of time out, then you really need to kind of rein it back in a little bit. The last thing you want to do, let's say you were in, I don't know, week 3 of a program, and then you're going into week 4 where you would normally absolutely go hell for leather, pretty much training to failure. That's the last thing you would want to do if you've not been well. You really want to kind of, I would start by just going to the gym, just moving in general, and starting with a bit of cardio, seeing how you're feeling, seeing if you are getting a little bit dizzy or fatigued easily, because again, you might have to decide it is too fucking soon. Start with your first set, see how your body is reacting. And if you feel okay, you know what, then you can carry on. But if you're really feeling like this is not good, like, and it's not just a bit of soreness and a bit of stiffness, like you're actually feeling like I'd be better off resting, then go and rest. Don't try and push yourselves too soon, because I promise you, if you do that, you will end up out of the gym or out of fitness for even longer, because then you've tried to push it too soon without actually allowing yourself to fully recover. So you want to take it steady, but assess it first. The other thing is, I know a lot of you psychos love a good spinning session. So, do you know what I mean? They are out there. I am not one of them, but some of you guys, you love your running, you love your spinning, like high intensity workouts, or even heavy lifting sessions. But again, I would avoid that for another few days, even after you think, right, I'm feeling a little bit better again. If you go balls deep into a spin session and you are not 100% recovered, you're really going to know about that. So just again, the higher intensity stuff, just rein it back in again and just leave it a little bit longer. It might not feel quite as bad weightlifting if you dial it back, but if you're going in for the higher stuff, then just honestly, just don't do it. By all means, go for a swim. Keep your steps up. That's one of the things that most people can do. If you're just feeling a little bit like you're coming off the other end, Thomas is now blowing his nose. Pretty sure the germs are now circulating in my house, so this will be me next week. But again, it's okay. And the things you can focus on, like nutrition, that's something you can get back into fairly quickly after sickness. So really prioritizing good, wholesome foods that are going to do wonders for your body. Things like the vitamin C, you can get the things that go into the dissolvable tablets that you can just literally neck back. Some of you will like things like Lucozade, but just prioritizing things like that and getting in some really good whole foods, because when you're sick, you tend to want to smash the shit foods, and the shit foods are not really serving you and they're just not ideal. But again, it's quite human if you do go down that route. But what we want to do is try and get back on track, get back onto it with the sickness. And you might need to come back up to maintenance if you are poorly. You genuinely might just need to take a few days off from a diet break. Like they say, feed a cold, starve a fever. It's going to depend which way your body's actually going as to which illness you've actually got. but try and get back to really good, like, again, things like salmon, fish, things with high omegas, like all of those things, decent, rich foods are going to serve you better at this point than smashing a pack of Maltesers. But again, we've all been there. I get it. Stay hydrated. This is key throughout the sickness and throughout your recovery, because you will get dehydrated if you're poorly. If you've got any like sickness, diarrhea, anything like that, your body is going to be losing liquids really quickly. And again, sometimes you can't keep it down. These things happen, but you want to make sure that your hydration returning from sickness is back on point. You might also want things like electrolytes to try and re-pick up the salts and different bits in your body to make you start to, again, stimulate that feeling of, okay, I'm feeling a little bit better now. I would progress gradually. So really halve the weights, maybe just over half, but that sort of level of intensity, and gradually start your increase. So it's almost like restarting as if you're back at ground zero again. Now it might only be a couple of sessions. It might be the first week, but it's okay. And if you want to make your training phase last longer, so let's say you got sick. Now I do tend to judge this. I've got a good idea of who's sick or who's on holiday. So I might well extend your training program so that you can still, you don't have to miss out on the weeks that you've missed. Or you might want to start afresh and go, right, okay, I've missed the final week, but I'd rather start again. Keep an open communication with Kat and I, and that's something that we're more than happy to work around you on. That's very person specific, what you would rather do. But keep everything quite short. Your workouts quite short. You might even decide to drop a set of every exercise. Just take it steady, ease your way back in. And again, that's going to help your immune system. But you will not lose all of your gains from 1 week off, guys. It just does not happen that way. So do not panic. So it actually takes, for any real muscle loss to start occurring, you're talking about 2 or 3 weeks of total inactivity. That's why we're talking. So if you do stop for kind of that 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to start to feel like you're deteriorating. In the grand scheme of things, you are not fully deteriorating. You might lose a little tiny bit of the gains, and that's it. But most people, 2 to 3 weeks off, I'd say, is the level where do you know what I mean? You're either really, really poorly, or you might have bloody gone traveling or something at that point. Most people don't go away for that length of time. But 1 week off is not going to cause a noticeable loss in muscle mass or strength. You just might feel weaker coming back after a bit of time off, but you will have muscle memory. So you will pick everything up quite quickly, as opposed to when you first start and you don't have that muscle memory. So you will feel like you can bounce back quite quickly. And again, that's totally and utterly normal. A short break every once in a while can actually help your body recover as well. So if you are feeling really fatigued, usually you get signs that you're going to get sick, and it might well even be that you've overdone it and you've run yourself down. So your body is leaving you clues by telling you. Now, this is obviously going to depend if you caught a virus or if you have caught something because you run down, but it might well be that you actually need to take a bit of a break from going hell for leather, being in a calorie deficit, going literally all out. But again, if you're feeling like you're really struggling, this is why we introduce things like your refeed days. A lot of you guys, like I say, do it on your own anyway, where you end up with plans or you go off plan here and there. That's when, do you know what I mean? But it's those things, trying to keep that energy high. But again, it's not the worst thing in the world to take a bit of a break if you need it, but it is key to focus on recovery. Rest is a part of your progress. So taking a little bit of time out, again, is not going to kill you every now and again. There's 52 weeks in the year. If we end up off sick and on holiday for a small proportion of that spread out throughout the year, it is okay. And we're not, like I say, nobody's going to die from that. So getting back on track post-holiday, the first thing I want to say here is, do not punish yourself for having a holiday. Everybody feels, and probably the same for sickness a little bit as well, when you really get into this, it's like you start to feel really guilty like, oh, I've had a week off the gym, or, and you might not have had a week off the gym just because you go on holiday, but you might have, and that's okay too. Like, do you know what I mean? Or you might be thinking, oh, I've really overindulged, I've had loads of cocktails, or do you know what I mean? But the thing is, you've also probably made memories, you've had a great time, you've been around your friends, your family, your loved ones. Like, life is about, and obviously health and fitness is a part of our life, that is a part of our life, that's why you're in the program, but you are also allowed to take a break. And again, a week, maybe even 2 weeks is not, it's not suddenly going, oh well, I actually don't care about our health and fitness anymore. And the real win is when you actually start to include your health and fitness on your holiday, where you go, actually, I'm going to start booking somewhere that's got a gym, or I'm going to start, I know like Victoria's been doing, she's still been training and using different things around like a villa, do you know what I mean, to try and actually get a training in. And this is it. That's when you know actually you feel really good. But equally, like I went to Amsterdam, we went to Poland. We didn't train on either of those holidays because they were just kind of 4 or 5 days, mini breaks. We did look at going to the gym, but we just decided, you know what, these are city breaks. We're going to get really high steps in, but yes, we're going to eat some really good food. Not massive drinkers, either of us, but we do like our food. So we're like, we're going to have a great time and we're just going to burn loads of energy. And then we found those bloody scooters, so we didn't actually walk anywhere. But they are really good fun. But this is it. You can have a nice time. Do you know what I mean? But then we went to Dubai and there is a gym in the hotel. So we trained in the gym like we would here. And it was an incredible gym. But this depends on where you're going, what type of holiday you're going on. Like I know Nathalie went to Albania. She was climbing mountains all week. Do you know what I mean? Like there's different types of holidays. But what you want to do is reset your routine. If you're coming back off holiday, you want to try and get your routine back to how it usually is as fast as possible. So one of the ladies in the program, she's just come back off the honeymoon. Like we were talking earlier today, she's getting all of her laundry done. She's hit a gym session. Do you know what I mean? She wanted to climb back in as quickly as she could. And that is my advice. Try and get back into your routine as quickly as you can, because what you don't want to end up doing is one day turn into two and then three and then four, and you've already had that time out. We want to really hit the ground running and not let a holiday completely derail you and go off track altogether. And then it doesn't just end up being 1 week or 2 week. It ends up starting to slide back into old habits before you were in the program. You're in the program for a reason, so we want to make sure we're using it. So consistency over intensity for the first week back. So again, you might end up, if you have had a bit of time off lifting, you might want to just rein it back a little bit, completely normal. And I would rather see everybody hit their gym sessions when they're back than actually hitting PBs. I'd much rather make sure that we are just getting back into those healthy habits. So start again with your fundamental exercises, your mobility work. So again, this is where your warm-ups are going to be absolutely key. Returning back from holiday or sickness, we want to make sure that our bodies are primed to actually do the exercise, duly noted, because I have a bad habit of just skipping everything and rushing it, but be like me, less like me. But you want to, again, prioritize compound movement. So even if you're going, right, I'm just going to hit the gym, you might start with your bigger lifts, which they're always going to be programmed that way anyway, regardless. So even if you just go, right, okay, I'm just going to go and do my squats and I'm going to just do it at 3 or 4 different lifts, that's okay too, just while we get you back into the swing of it. Stay accountable. So again, use all the tracking tools, join in again with the community, check in with us as your coaches, especially if you're returning back. Let us know how you are feeling. If you are feeling a bit like, oh, you know what, I'm really struggling to get back into this, reach out to us, because we are going to be able to hold you accountable. Like I messaged every single one of you this morning to make sure that everybody is feeling fired up, ready to go, high motivation, get everybody into the swing of that Monday winning cycle. That's exactly the same. If you're coming back back in off a holiday, we really want to fire you up to motivate you while motivation might be a little bit low. That's our job. So lean in at that point. and celebrate the small wins of getting back on track. Like I know Keely did this the other day where she's been a little bit poorly and she kind of said, I can't believe it. Prior to this, I would have probably just hit that fuck it button, not got back on track. I wouldn't have done anything. But now she's in the program. She's like, I like you almost feel like so shit for being sick, don't you? It's like, no, I can't train. I can't move my body. I can't do the things I want to do. But then it makes you have so much more gratitude for when you are well, when you can actually move your body. So it's all of these things about recognizing those wins and the point where you're at in your journey to go, no, I feel really fucking good. Like, I'm glad I'm now in this program because I've got the accountability to get back on track and keep fucking going. So again, don't use your holiday or sickness as a reason to piss around. Do you know what I mean? Don't use that as a reason to throw in the towel and go, actually, you know what? I cannot be bothered. Like, I'm just not going to get back on the wagon. Oh, this is really difficult. It's like, it is difficult, but we just have to get back into those routines. And like I say, this is where you want speed, less so with sickness, but more so with post-holiday blues when you're feeling a bit shit anyway. You've overindulged. You probably, do you know what I mean? Your body is craving health and fitness at this point. So lean the fuck into it and get back on the wagon as quickly as you possibly can. Be like Victoria. Right, guys, does anybody, it was only a quick one on that. Does anybody have any questions? I know, Pippa, you've definitely, let me just stop my screen share. Boop, we're all back. So Pippa, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Hello. I've started a new program this week. Thank you very much for doing that for me. So I noticed on my program that it said 8-6-4 on the reps, and it
Yep,
was for like single leg lunges,
yep,
and then going back up to 6-8 on the reps.
yep,
So 5 sets overall, decreasing down to 4 reps, going back up to 8 reps. Would
yep.
you recommend that I crank up the weight, going down to full weight, and then do a decrease in the weight when you go back up to 8 reps?
Yeah.
Or would you just stick to the same weight and do those reps?
Yeah, no. So for anyone that some of you will be in this similar point in your program, some of you won't be. Some of you might have already been through this point in your programs, but what Pippa's referring to is the wave load, where it's like eight reps, 6 reps, 4 reps, 6 reps, 8 reps. So it's doing a wave basically. It's coming up and down, and it's a really good way of progressing with your overload basically. So trying to get stronger. You are absolutely right, Pippa, in the way that you put it in the group chat. So you would start higher reps and then lower weight, and then you bringing it the weights up as the reps are coming down. But what you want to try and do, where possible, as you're so it's going 8 reps, 6 reps, 4 reps, 6 reps, 8 reps. What you want to do is try and make the last two heavier than the first two where possible. So it's going to depend on the exercises where you're at. That might not physically be possible as well. It might depend on the weights that you've got accessible, obviously. Like it's going to be quite specific. But what we want to try and do is build on those last two based off the first two. And then ideally on your 4, that's where we want to be trying to see if we could obviously aim for those PBs, because the reps obviously very low at the 4. But it is a very intensive phase in terms of, do you know what I mean? You're doing 5 sets at that point. It is quite taxing. It is quite a lot, but see how you get on and let us know. And obviously I'll be able to have a look at your stats at the end of every week as well, just to make sure. But the other thing is, I don't know if you've seen this, there should be an example. I think in every single program I write, I try and include an example of exactly what we mean. So it might well be, I don't know if you found that or it sits, let me just find it. It sits, I think it's at the top right hand corner. Let me have a look. I don't know if I've got a, oh, I'm logged out, 2 seconds.
Mine was in my program overview at the top
That's
because I've
it.
just done had the same today. And it kicked my ass doing that workout.
Yeah,
To
it is
do that.
intense. It's definitely a very intense phase, but good fun. I really like doing loads.
We may have different ideas of fun, but yeah, it was good.
You just wait. There's one. What is it? What is it? I can't remember the exact reps. It's something like 9. No, it's not. It'll be like 8, 12, 25. And so you're doing, it's a try load basically, where you'll do 3 exercises back to back. So you'll do 8 reps of one, 12 of another, and 25 of another. And you do the whole lot back to back, 25 reps. I was doing 12 reps of something today and thought I was going to die, quite honestly. Like, oh my God. But yeah, so I don't know if you can see it, but right at the top where it says tap for program overview, with every phase, that's well worth reading, because what I try and do, I used to put it in the bottom. Some of them might still be in the bottom, but now I've moved it to there because I just found you couldn't actually log the workout. You'd have to keep scrolling and scrolling to get through that text to actually click complete. And people were just missing it. So I've moved it. But yeah, just well worth noting to give that a read before every new phase, or as a reminder as you go into each week as well. But does that answer your question, Pip? Sorry, you're eating.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself.
Take that as a
That's
yes.
great, thank you.
Does anybody else have any other questions? I'm just going to go in the group chat and make sure I've not missed anything. But if anyone wants to unmute, now is your time. No, I don't think there's any in there.
I might be a way off this, but it's just on my mind. At what point do you change from doing 3 workouts a week to 4?
That is totally down to who you are and how much time availability. So if you want to move on to 4, you can, like, we can literally do that tomorrow if that's what you want to do. So I would say probably as high as 90% of the women on this program are on a 3-day plan, and they remain on a 3-day plan. Some women come in ambitiously on a 4-day and they just cannot hit it. So they literally end up dropping back onto a 3-day. And then some women will have quieter months. So it might be during the summer holidays where they can move on to 4 days, 3 days. 3 days, for perspective, in case anyone's wondering, is absolutely ample because it's the way that you train. So it ends up being 3 full body days. So we're hitting the muscle groups 3 times over. Now, the last 3 weeks, I don't think I've been able to do more than 3 days. I'm trying to get 4 days. I should actually be on a 4-day plan, but I just keep having to miss a session, or Thomas's van's broken down. So he'll take the car and then I can't physically get to the gym, and I'm like, ugh, fuck you, man. But this is it. So sometimes real life happens. But if you genuinely think, no, you know what, I can commit to a 4-day, and I've definitely, because what you can't do is what I've been doing, basically. It's not, so on a 4-day plan, you would start to do 2 upper body and 2 lower body. So as an example, Monday would be lower body, Tuesday would be upper body, Wednesday would be rest, Thursday would be lower again, and Friday would be upper again, and the weekend to rest. But you need those rest days to be in the most ideal way possible, because your recovery, because you're training harder. So you'd start to do 5 leg day exercises twice a week. Do you know what I mean? And then the same for your upper body. You're going to start to do more like 6, 7 exercise. Like the intensity of it is going to go up. So you have to be able to, which is why it splits into upper versus lower body, so that you can get that rest in. But like with me, I've just either been having to miss a lower body altogether, which is not as effective as you obviously want to be able to train, or you're going to miss an upper body. So if you start to go, oh, actually, I can only hit 3 days this week, you're going to miss an entire set of muscles that you should be working. So it's not as optimal. So it's only if you can pretty much guarantee that you can hit 4 sessions a week, that's when we can do it.
No, I don't want to. I'm quite happy with my progress at the minute on my 3 days. I just didn't know if you would automatically get moved.
No, that's not. Yeah, you don't need to do 4 sessions a week. Most of you guys, like I say, will probably never move on to 4 days a week. If you can, and you're thinking, like I say, you've got more time availability, but that's not how we're progressing. We're progressing with the exercises, with the reps, a bit like you said today with your wave load. That's another form of progression. So it's not necessarily, oh, we've got to introduce another training phase. Like this morning, my training was a pre-exhaust method. So it was training the same muscles to fatigue in a superset. So my fucking shoulders are absolutely annihilated. That's another. So all of these different ways. I think, I can't remember if you were away during where we went through the different ways that we're progressing the training. It might be worth watching that one back.
Yeah.
Because I think you might have missed that one. But if you scroll through on the announcements page, or I can obviously resend it to you.
Yeah, I'll have a look. Yeah. Fab.
Just so, because that was all about how to understand how we're progressing. So you'll start to see paused rep, quarter reps, different types of superset, different training volume, wave load, all of that. That's how we're progressing. I'm never going to go, now you're doing 4 days a week, now you're doing 5 days a week, now you're doing 6 days. Like that is, yeah, that's not how we're doing it.
Fab,
Like,
thank you.
Kind of links with what I was going to ask as well. I'm only on week 3. I was just wondering, like, how often or when does the training program change up? Just as a newbie, just interested.
So every 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the phase. Now, usually when you're newer, I will deliberately change them after every 4 weeks because everybody's so excited. You want to try all of the new things. You want to feel like you're doing different exercises. But 4 weeks is the minimum length. They do start to get a bit longer as you start to progress through the phases because obviously we want to really get as strong as we can. Like my phase changed today and I was a bit fucking blown away, like, wait, what? Why, when? Because I don't write my own programs because I would just do anything. And I just, it's a shock sometimes. You think, well, no, I was really getting into that and now it's changed. But you guys will feel really fresh and excited. You're not years into lifting, so we'll move them on a little bit quicker, and then they do slow down a bit as you get a lot more competent with lifting and the exercises. And you'll find that you get addicted to phases and you don't want it to end. Unless, like I say, the only caveat to that is if you've been on holiday and I think you might want to keep going with it, and you've not been able to train on holiday, or if you do get poorly and we decide, right, okay, actually, so some of you guys I will have messaged to say, you should be due a new phase, but do you want to, or do you want me to hang off another week? Or I might even override the decision depending on the person's circumstances. But I control all of that for everybody. I write all programs and decide when they're changing, but it will be every 4 weeks for you at the minute, Laura. So next week.
Great, thank you.
This Sunday, by the way, they typically always change at the weekend. Occasionally, it might be first thing on a Monday morning, but usually it's over the weekend as well. And you get a notification from the app, and then on a Monday, you're likely to get a message from me going, hey, and now you've got a new training phase. So yeah. So you will know when it changes, but I leave the last one in. And I will, again, when it's brand new to you, I will show you how to actually change it because it doesn't look like it's changed. It becomes a drop down, but I will obviously notify you of that anyway. But yeah, that's how we roll. Right, any other questions? Couple of minutes left, guys, if anyone's got any more burning questions. No. I will take that as my leave. Right. Peace out, all. Have a wonderful rest of the evening. And I think all of you guys on here have absolutely crushed it so far this week as well. So keep fucking going. Keep absolutely crushing this week. We want some serious check-in wins this week. But I mean, so honestly, like the success rate at the moment of all of you women, I think is the highest we have ever experienced across the entire board. And it's phenomenal as your coaches. And I know, Kat, we've literally been saying the same thing. Like, we are beyond proud of how everybody is being so successful, really committed and dedicated. And the results are speaking volumes for everybody at the minute. So well done, ladies, because we are incredibly proud of all of you. Right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Mwah. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.